Well, you're joining me at the fantastic Weston Pools fishery. I'm sat on peg 12 on the Belvedere and I've been out doing a bit of a practice video today because I've got a Fish Midlands qualifier on one of these lakes tomorrow, so I can't wait for that. But I thought while I'm here, I've had a very busy month fishing, so I thought I'd have a little catch up, talk you through some of the matches that I've had this month and hopefully talk you through some of the things I've learned and some of the methods that have been working really well and what they'll potentially be working in over the coming weeks. So I've been fishing many times. Started off back at the 1st of April here at Weston Pools on a pairs match. Me and Steve Openshaw fished it and it was spread across Belvedere, Stretton, Canal and Weir Lake, and I went in the bag. I went in the bag and I pulled out peg 14 on Weir, and that's actually one of my favourite pegs on that lake. It's an end peg and it's actually where I qualified for my second Fishmania final off, so good memories from that peg. It was nice to go back and catch a few. And my partner Steve Openshaw, fantastic angler, needs no introduction. He drew peg 23 on Stretton, and anyone who knows this place, you don't want to be there. Not a very good peg. It's probably one of the only pegs you don't want on that lake. A lot of the pegs you feel like you can catch some fish from, but that peg is just never seems to be great. It was in a bit of a corner. You sort of get a bit cut off by the anglers around you. They do give it a bit more space, which can help, and occasionally it does catch, but I don't know, it's just got a bad feeling about that peg. I don't know what it is. So we felt like I was on a good one, he was on a bit of a not so good one, and it was full lakes for points, so it was going to be hard for us to do well. But on sort of talking about my match, I'd been here back in the back end of March, the day before actually, on that weekend, but I won't touch on that because it wasn't in April. But I ended up winning the match because I came and drew the middle of Weir, peg 16, another great peg. I've been drawing some very good pegs recently. It becomes a bit of a repetitive pattern, and I caught a maggot shallow, got loads of sort of skimmers and eyed and big skimmers as well, and some carp and some big F1, so I thought, right, I'm going to go down the similar attack and fish maggots at 13 metres, up and down, because you will catch them on the bottom there, because there's some quality silvers in Weir. Loads of big skimmers, tench, barbel, big eyed, loads of small eyed as well, so there's loads of bites to be had on maggots on there. I always fish maggots on there unless I think there's a big weight of F1s to be caught shallow, and I didn't feel like it was going to be that good, so I went for the maggot approach. And I just feel like with maggots you give yourself a great chance of catching carp. I don't know what it is, but whenever I've fished maggots on there shallow, I always catch some carp, so that's why I did that. And I also think maggots is better for catching on the bottom, and if it's a hard day you do need to fish on the bottom, so maggots long. I started on pellet short on 40 on the day. I didn't get a bite and I thought, ooh, that's not a good sign. I was looking round and the only man who had a bite to start with was Christian, and he drew the peg opposite me, another really good peg 10 on Weir, which has great form over the years. It's just a peg that holds a lot of fish. You're on the rope. That end peg seems to be better than 14, to be honest. So I knew I was up against it. Great angler. Everyone knows Christian's a bit of a weapon on F1 venues, so I thought we'll have to try and get him smashed up. Basically, started short on pellets, that was no good, so out I went on my maggots, and I caught steady throughout the day. Odd bites, not as good as the day before, but I'd catch an odd skimmer, some eyed, an odd F1, and then an odd carp, and the carp's definitely what made the difference. I managed to catch 6 or 7 carp shallow throughout the day, and the best rigs were winter maggies, so I didn't catch any on a dibber or an F1 shallow or a jigger. Everything came on like either a 2.5 foot winter maggie rig, a 3B8 from RW, and the great thing about them floats, they're just really sensitive. They have a 1.2 mil bristle I think, and it's a solid tip, pardon me. So they're really sensitive. They take barely any shot. I think I had like 2 or 3 number 10s down the line. You could spring out some number 12s or some number 11s, but I think I just had 2 or 3 number 10s. Takes barely any shot, and I think your maggots just fall dead slow, and especially when you're catching silvers like eyed and skimmers, I just think they're brilliant. And I did actually catch quite a few at like 3.5 foot as well, so I just had to vary my depth throughout the day, and that was the best, to be honest. I just had to keep swapping my rigs. Every now and again I'd go to like 2.5 foot to catch a carp, then I'd have to keep feeding it. I'd get a skimmer, and it was never fantastic, but it was enough bites to sort of keep me ticking over. I had an odd drop on the bottom and caught a very odd little carp. Now there's quite a few little stocks in there. They're like 8 ounce though, so they're not really worth catching when you can catch a 2 pound hide shallow, you know what I mean, if you're patient. So I basically just ticked over on that, and then I potted some ground bait in my right edge. Because I was the end peg, I did hope that I would catch some fish in the edge. So what I was doing was, I was just potting like some loose ground bait. With two hours to go, I put about 200 ml of ground bait on the point. On weir, the pegs come out in like a V. So I just potted some ground bait on the point. And then when I went on it, I just feed a tangerine ball with an odd maggot in, dead wet ground bait with a big bunch of maggots on the hook, red hydro, strong gear. And it was just like, put a ball in, come back, put your rig over the top, clunk. And I think it had 3 or 4 big F1s and 3 or 4 big carp on that, which made the difference. Had an odd look back shallow in the last hour, kept feeding it, but it didn't really turn into anything. I just had to focus down that edge. And I think I ended up with 112 pounds. That was enough to win the match, so really pleased with that. Obviously got the 1 point for the lake. Steve Openshore did phenomenal in his area. He actually won his little section, his 5 peg section, which was great. But in the other section, better pegs, he got beat by 3 lads, I think. So he ended up with 4 points for the lake, which I'd say is a really, really good result from that peg. But we did no good in the pegs. I think we came 4th, just out the money by ounces, I think. I think Matty and Christian were 3rd. They just beat us in on weight. So a bit unfortunate, because Steve had a bit of a lower weight than Matty on that lake. Matty Dawes drew that lake and same points, but a bit of a stronger weight. So that nicked them ahead of us. But I had a fantastic day's fishing. We still picked up a few quid, so can't complain. That rig for shallow was, I forget to mention it, it was 0.13 hook length and 16 Super LWG, just strung out shots, like I said, 0.17 mainline, then that winter Maggie. And I fished, what did I fish? I think I fished blue hydro in a short kit there, which is a nice soft elastic. You can land them carp on it if you take your time. They do pull a bit, but problem is if you fish too heavy, you won't catch them silvers. So you have to sort of have a few rigs set up, and in summer sometimes on that lake you can catch some big carp on there. So you have to have some white hydro or some long kits set up if them carp start coming in. But that was the first match. Nice to catch some fish. And then after then it was straight onto the Fish North, the first of the year for me, at Forest Lane Fisheries. Now the Fish North is a competition I absolutely love. Been lucky enough to come 2nd in the final twice now. I've been in the final 3 years, so I'm gunning to get back in that final. I absolutely love it there. All the lads there spot on. Really enjoy going and fishing at Forest Lane. Fantastic venue, full of fish, and there's a right variety. And this qualifier was on furlong and the Don, and I went and drew peg 10 on the Don. Another great peg, to be honest, no complaints at all. It actually won the match the week before. Scott Brady won it. So when he drew the same lake as me and another good peg, 21, which is a noted peg on that lake, I thought I was up against it. He's on top form at the moment on that venue. He's a venue expert, brilliant angler in his own right, never mind the venue. So I knew I was going to have a good battle with him. And on peg 10, you've basically got an island straight in front of you that you can reach. And the plan of attack was meet short. I didn't have an edge line, which definitely came back to bite me. So I didn't really have that option. I basically just had to rely on some bite short later on if I was going to catch close to me. I did fish a line to the island. You can actually plumb up tight to the island. It plumbs up quite nice, 2.5 foot probably. And I just fished hard pellets there because I did get some info off, who gave me the info? Harry Michael. He told me that hard pellets was working on there and I'd catch on them across, so cheers Harry. Basically fished them to the island, and then my other plan was to swing a rig up the side of the island. It was a 16 metre pole limit on our match. It isn't normally on there, but in our match on the Fish North, we had to fish a 16 metre pole limit, so I fished a full length of line, 0.22 main line, 0.19 hook length with one of the little bagger floats from Guru that they take like 4 or 5 number 8s, nice and heavy, and it gives you that bit of weight to flick a rig out in front of your pole. So I started to the island, tapping some hard pellets in, and that was good. I had 4 carp, but it wasn't very strong. I think I should have started on that long flicking rig. I would have had a better start, and I just fell a bit behind. I didn't have any bite short and meat late, nothing in the edge, so I didn't have an edge, and I had to just persevere, tapping some pellets in, and I caught an odd carp. Ended up with 112 pound, I think, and wasn't enough. Scott Brady smashed it up. He caught about 130 pound, I think he had, from peg 21, venue expert at the moment, fishing phenomenal, was on a great run of form at the venue, so he managed to win and qualify for the Fish North semi-final. So well done, Scott. Definitely made a bit of a mess of that one. That was definitely a chance missed, but we'll move on, learn from our mistakes. It definitely comes to help me later in the month. Next, we'll be on to the Monkhall Festival. Now, a venue I've never been before, but people absolutely rave about it. Knew I definitely need to get on one of the On the Flyer TV festivals run by Gary Rogers, the big money festivals. All the best anglers go, so it's a great standard, loads of great competition, and you're always up against it because you're going to have great anglers in your section every day, so you got to fish really well if you're going to win it or get some good points. So day one I drew peg 4 and swallow, and not knowing the lake, to be honest with you, I just set up a bit of everything and it just all went to pot. I didn't fish very well, to be honest. It was probably my worst match of the month. I ended up catching a few on micros and corn in my left edge, a few on the bottom on maggots down the middle, but that was a bit of a write-off. It was a bit too narrow, nothing really wanted to come up and feed shallow. And on the bottom it was just an odd tench. And then across I had a really good start on micros and corn in the mud, and I thought that could be really good. And it sort of led me down the garden path a bit and led me astray. What I should have done is fished hard pellets sort of in front of the mud line and maybe 2 foot-ish, and then pushed up the slope as the day's gone on, and I think I would have had a much better day. Connor Barlow smashed this area. Obviously he's second on the lake behind Christian. Christian won swallow on the first day with a massive 220 odd pound, 230 pound I think he had. And Connor had 170, did really well in the area. He was on peg 2. He just fished hard pellets across. He fished a really nice match, caught the carp that lived there, and there was definitely carp in my area too, so it was definitely a bit of a mistake. I don't feel like I was going to beat Connor, but I definitely feel like a third was possible off that peg on that day. So lesson learned, I should have just not overcomplicated it. I should have just fished hard pellets across and micros and corn on the edge, and I would have had a much better day. So I definitely had some redemption on the second day. I definitely needed to have a better day, and I drew a very windy end of the lake, which was good. Much better peg, I feel. Peg 5 on hawk, and I was told there's loads of hide to catch in hawk, so I basically set up the fish maggots at like 8 meters on the bottom, and I set up all my shallow rigs just in case, because I didn't know what to expect, whether I'd catch an odd F1 or some eyed shallow. And I also set up micros and corn on my right edge. It's a bit deeper, it's like 2.5 foot touching the bank, and I thought that'll be really nice. Fished it nice and close to myself so they wouldn't come up off the bottom, and I just fed that nice and heavy all day. I fed that with like 100 ml of micros every time I came off it throughout the day. That's actually where I started the match, while I was feeding some maggots to try and get the eye in the area feeding, and he had a few F1s and a big carp down there, so I thought that's a nice start. Then I dropped in on my 8 metre maggot line, and I fished it there because I thought I didn't want to go too far, but I didn't want to come too close. I wanted to make sure them eyed would come in my peg and feed confidently, and also a bit of distance did give me a better chance of catching shallow, I felt. So I fished at 8 metres. On the bottom I just fished a 414s 1.5mm Maggie, so, and a bulk and 2 droppers, 013 up length 5-inch and a 16 Super LWG, so reasonable tackle. I fished white hydro and a long kit, was really nice, and I caught probably 20 eyed on the bottom when I first went on it, and I thought that's quite nice. But then I looked over and Christian's playing a fish on a short kit with like orange hydro and a rig that long coming out at the end. I thought, oh, there's shallow. So I looked over, he had a run of like 4 or 5 F1 shallow, and I thought I'll just let him catch them because I didn't want to go all guns blazing, like sort of ruin the chances of catching a load of hide on the bottom. So, but it got to a point where he was slaying an F1 every single chucking shallow on an overshotted rig, so I had to pick mine up, and honestly once we went on it, it was fantastic. Caught a bite of chuck each all day, sort of F1s a pound to £3, some massive clonking F1s in there. It was brilliant fishing, just swapping between sort of 2 and a bit foot down to like 16 inches, just picking up a few different rigs, rotating throughout the day just to keep bites coming. And it was brilliant, that overshotted rig, so much fun. You just get dragged in on it. I know some people don't like it, but I think it's a great method. It's absolutely deadly. If it's allowed, you've got to fish it or you won't compete. So it was really nice to have a good day practicing that, getting in sort of tune with it, ready for summer. And I ended up with £228. Christian had 200 and, I might have had, no, what did I have? 220 odd. Christian was about £10 behind me, he had about 109 I think. So I managed to win the lake, so a bit of redemption, a really nice way to finish the festival, picking up a lake win, and I managed to take a quid off Christian Jones. So I think we're about evens on the next big stakes now, so that's nice to get one back up on him. So that was a really good festival, I can't wait to go back. Massive well done to Bagger, he won it with a section win in the second, and on the second day he had nearly £300 on Buzzard Lake, all massive great big carp on pellets. On the bottom I think he caught them on 6 mils at like 13 metres on the deck, so he had a lovely day. And sorry to Christian, because I know I did cost him the festival, but I'm sure it'll come back around and he'll take a win off me at some point. So yeah, it was fantastic, can't wait to get back. So massive well done to Bagger, and then Connor was second, Christian third, and I think Tom Scully snuck in at fourth, so well done to him. And so that was the Monkhall Festival. And then on to the next one was the Lindholme Fishermania, straight after Monkhall. I think it might have been maybe the next weekend or something. And I went and drew peg 7 on beaches, and I think it's a great peg on that lake. It's probably the best peg on that lake, to be honest, but it's not a peg that you're going to need to win the match. Beaches just was never going to compete. It rarely catches 200-pound weights, even in the height of summer when the big carp are feeding in the edges, and I knew that Loco was probably going to produce a 200, so I didn't feel I had a chance. But having been selected to fish for the Drennan Barnsley Blacks team, so absolutely chuffed about that, I thought I'm just going to go have a practice, see if I can learn some things for the commercial national, which was just around the corner. And I went back and literally caught some carp on hard pellet short. I caught quite a few F1s shallow on casters. I felt like I still needed to go and attack it, just in case it fished hard and I had a strange day and emptied it, but I didn't. I just caught little spells of F1 shallow on casters on a little overshotted rig, and then in the edge late on I was throwing some 4mm to my left off the bank because it's really snaggy and horrible there. So I just threw some 4mm and an odd 6 off the bank, and then sort of the last 20 minutes I just go in, tap like 10 4s and a few 6s in, and it was just settling up and going under with a carp. I had like 5 carp in the last 20 minutes, like out of nowhere. Just shows them carp, when they want to feed, they'll come in confident. But I fished red hydro, so I could get them in nice and quickly. It was nice, but just not enough. Ended up with £100, and that was second on the lake. Young Tyler Bird, he beat me by a couple of pounds on the next peg. He caught some nice carp down his right-hand edge on peg 6, nice and steady. So well done to him. But it was a nice practice to see the lake. Learned a few things for the commercial national. Although I didn't expect to be catching shallow on the commercial national if I drew that lake. And then the next day I actually went back and fished the open match on Lindholme again. On what lake was it on? On Laurels, and I drew a great peg. Nice to get back into the swing of things on the pegs. Peg 3 on Laurels, which is like on the bottom bank, and it's always a good area when the wind's blowing that way. And peg 2 was in, and the wind was blowing into peg 2, but I had a spare to my right, and I thought that should give me enough space to catch some. And I had a little start short on soft pellets, really. Soft pellets, micros and expanders, and I caught like 3 big F1s and a couple of skimmers, and no one was getting a bite. So I thought that's quite a nice start, something good to know for the commercial national maybe. And I was loose feeding casters at like 11 metres to catch shallow, and I dropped on the bottom underneath it to start with a couple of maggots on the hook, and I ended up catching some big old skimmers, some F1s, and then I caught like 1 little carp, and then it just went quiet, and I thought, oh. And basically the lake shut down. I tried shallow, no bites. Tried a bomb, no bites. Tried long pole and pellets, couple of carp, like small ones. And I thought it's all right for ticking over, but it was never going anywhere. But to be honest, no one was catching. And then as the day went on, I ended up catching an odd more fish shallow. It was actually a 6-hour match, which is a bloody marathon. I'm not a fan of 6-hour matches because they're just so long. You get absolutely knackered. But they do let you do a bit more fishing and help you work it out, so I don't mind it, I suppose. And then ended up catching 1 bug shallow the last hour. It went absolutely rigid on a 18-inch and a 2-foot overshotted rig. It was just phenomenal fishing. It was just like loose feed some casters, flick the rig in, lift, drop, ring, 1 on, and it was just great. Massive F1s. And so I ended up with 180, I think I had 185 pound or something, and that actually was enough to win the match. So absolutely buzzing with that. Lovely day's fishing. I'm not sure what was second. I think Strip took the rest of the framing places, because that was actually I didn't mention that actually. Adam Playford, he won the Fishermania qualifier the day before, so well done to him. He drew on Strip and had 200 odd pound, which no one expected, and that actually took all the remaining framing places on that match as well, on the open match that I won then. So nice day, catch a load shallow. Didn't catch on a lot else, but it was just nice to get dragged in by a load. And then after that, we went to Tunnelbarn Farm for the Spring Spectacular, and that was a competition that I was really looking forward to. But I've actually done a separate video on that one because I had a fantastic few days, caught some fish and really enjoyed it, learnt a few things. And go and check that video out if it's on the channel already. If not, keep an eye out for it, because I go into a bit more detail about each day. So yeah, go and check that one out. And then after that, it was the Spring Festival here at Weston Pools. So again, I'm not going to go into too much detail about that one because I'm going to do a separate video while I'm here today, go and show you the pegs that I was on. So go and check that one out, how I managed to actually win that one. So it was a really nice result. Love this fishing at Weston Pools, and almost concludes the month. I went straight from Weston Pools to Old Huff, and I caught nothing. I drew peg 19 on Upper Benbow, I think, and I just didn't feel like it was going to be good. I spoke to Mel, the fishery manager, and he said, very bad peg, Rob. I thought, right, great. Not a very good day. I sat there and fished it out till the last half hour, then wrapped up early and got off when the match finished. I caught a few and a half pellets across, but nothing was happening. It was very difficult. Alex Dawson won that one from the end peg on boulders. Massive well done to him. Nice to see him in the final. So, but that concludes the month. I had a fantastic month, some great matches, caught loads of fish, and it's not even summer yet. So hopefully, as the weather keeps warming up, we're going to catch loads more fish. So hopefully you enjoyed catching up with me. I've had a great month, loads of fishing. Hopefully do the same again in May. Not quite as much fishing this month, but I think I've got a couple of qualifiers, and I've got 2 festivals here at Weston Pools. I've got the Weight Master and a 2-day big money one with Gary Rogers here. So really, really looking forward to them. I'm actually on the Fish Midlands qualifier tomorrow here at Weston, so fingers crossed for that one. So yeah, hopefully I'll maybe catch up with you next month, let you know how it's gone. I hope you enjoyed it. Let us know if you like this style of video. I know it's a bit more basic, a bit more simple, but just want to try and give you guys some information about how places are fishing, what I've been catching on, so you can maybe put it into practice if you go into them venues. So thanks for watching, and make sure you subscribe to catch more media. Go and check out the members section as well. We've got loads of stuff on there with Christian Jones, Jordan Holloway, live matches with Matt Godfrey. We had 2 live matches last month, so go and check it out. It's literally a £5 a month, and you get a boatload of videos. You get 4 videos a month, live videos and everything. So you'll absolutely love it. Go and check it out. If not, just keep enjoying the free stuff, keep watching, and we'll see you on the next video.